I recently came back from a trip to Svalbard. This is an island in the high Arctic, about halfway between the north coast of Norway and the North Pole. I had gone there for a goal that I had set myself some time ago, to reach the northernmost civilian settlement on Earth, Ny-Ålesund. If you watched the previous Svalbard video, then you'll know that this trip started off innocuously enough, and I flew into it and got settled into the small town of Longyearbyen. But now I was faced with 4 hours on a boat to my final destination, then 4 hours back again. That's when things started to happen that were a bit, unexpected. I was to be taking this last stage of the trip on the ultra-modern boat Kvitbjorn, a hybrid diesel and electric boat. We got underway early in the morning and sailed out into Isfjorden, the body of water between Longyearbyen and the Arctic Ocean. By about an hour and a half later we'd made it to the end of Isfjorden, and with the Arctic Ocean on our left we turned right to head north. Next we'd be travelling through the treacherous and in parts shallow waters of, if I can say this properly, Furlandsundet. We started making our way up the right hand side of the fjord, so this is where I took most of the footage, thinking I would film the other side on the way back. The scenery was nothing short of spectacular the entire way, with mountains and glaciers everywhere you turned. We slowed down a little and it became apparent that we were actually negotiating a fairly treacherous stretch of water. According to the instruments, the depth was as little as 4 metres here. This meant that few boats could come this way. The fjord narrowed a bit here, so I was able to get some footage from both sides. Sailing ships had to pull their keel up and go a roundabout way to pass this part, taking forever. Once we had passed the shallows, we were facing the Arctic Ocean again, and we started to be hit by ocean swell. The Arctic's not a particularly rough ocean though, so even then it was still pretty mild. Eventually the research equipment of Ny-Ålesund began to come into view. Finally, we pulled into the little harbour at Ny-Ålesund. I'd made it. I'd finally reached the northernmost settlement on Earth. So what's it like then? Well, I have to admit I wasn't really sure what to expect from such a place. Maybe just a single house and you had to arrive in a little dinghy or something. But no, it had a full working harbour, several buildings and even a few parked cars dotted around. For all that it was remote and really far north, one thing it certainly wasn't was primitive. It is primarily a research station after all. It had a shop with some pretty strange opening times. A post office, several research stations, all representing a different country. I went for a walk around the little village. So, made it to Ny-Ålesund eventually. Here we are, top of the world. We had a couple of hours in Ny-Ålesund before the long and what turned out to be eventful journey back. The weather had turned by the time we headed back though, so my planned view of the other side of the fjord didn't really work out. We did make a brief stop to see some walruses, but it was still raining, so we didn't hang about outside too long. So the vast majority of the journey back went without incident, but then two very unexpected events happened as we approached Longyearbyen. They were going to completely reshape the remainder of the entire holiday. First of all, after some radio contact and a rendezvous with another boat, we gained an unexpected new passenger in the Kvitbjorn. Secondly, as we approached the shore and regained some phone reception, it became apparent that SAS Airlines were going on strike and all our flights were cancelled. As we were all affected, this new passenger, myself and a number of others on the boat decided to go out for some food and drinks when we got home. So literally within the space of a few minutes, it changed from being a solo traveller who was leaving in a couple of days to having a great group of friends and being there for weeks. We eventually returned to Longyearbyen and concluded what was the most bizarre of trips. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you enjoy watching our videos, then please hit the like button and subscribe for more content.